So, I'm in a nice comfy chair because we're going to talk about something, or I'm going to talk about, and then you guys can comment and discuss, something pretty major. So, we are on to our ninth episode of You Gotta Have Heart, and some of them have caused a lot of discussion, some of them a little bit of discussion, whatever. I'm just kind of doing my thing. So, what we're going to talk about here, okay, is God and science. Yeah, that's like a loaded topic. I'm always told, like, okay, at family gatherings, whatever, you never discuss religion or politics. Now, politics really changes almost daily. The people change, the players change. The basic stuff may remain the same, but everything around it changes. The slant change, everything. Everybody has an opinion. But the idea of God, is there a God, is something that remains fairly constant. There's not like all of a sudden some new thing like, whoa, it's just, is there a God? And the debate often kind of falls back to God versus science. Okay, now notice I originally said God and science because I strongly believe the two can coexist, and I'm going to prove that whatever you thought you knew, hopefully, maybe I won't prove that you're wrong, whatever you thought you knew, but hopefully I will put some question or doubt into your mind about what you thought you believed. Okay, so first I want to, and I of course jotted down some notes just so I can remember to hit certain touch points. And by the way, make sure that you subscribe and all of that fun stuff. So first I just want to put out there the idea of God. Okay, I'm going to use the word God, but it's really a concept or an idea. Okay, so I'm just calling it God. It could be, I guess, whatever they say, like your higher power is. Okay, whatever your concept is. But I'm just going to call it God because we're just going to put a simple word to it so that I can discuss it, I can talk, and we all know kind of the vague, basic idea of what I mean by God. Okay, so we're just going to use the word God. So the question always comes up like, well, prove that there is a God. And anybody that believes there's a God, they say, well, the proof is everywhere. Look at this, look at that, look at the beauty of a sunset, all of that stuff. If you don't believe in a God, okay, then you say, usually people will kind of cross their arms and go, well, you've never proven there's a God, therefore there is no God. You can't prove a negative, okay? That's a scientific, law. You can't prove a negative, okay? So you can't prove that God doesn't exist, okay? So if you believe that there is no God, you are on that belief based on faith, okay? You can't prove there is no God, okay? So if we're going on that side, well, you can't prove there is a God, right? And you can't prove there isn't a God, right? So people that believe there's a God fall back on, well, you just have to have faith. And people that believe that there is no God, you're basing that on faith. So both sides are basing it on faith. So you're kind of on equal footing here, okay? If you say, well, you can't prove there's a God, therefore there's no God. Well, you can't prove there isn't a God, therefore there isn't a God. Like, do you see what I'm saying? Okay. So the burden of proof is always on the person making the assertion. So if you say, well, there is no God, then it's up to you to prove there is no God. You can't. Okay, to prove there's no God, you would need to be complete. You would need to have knowledge of everything, infinite knowledge. And we're going to touch on infinity in a minute too. Infinite knowledge. Okay? Nobody has that. So you can't prove that there's no God. Okay. So and then people say, like, well, you can prove a negative. Like, look, this glass has no water in it. Okay, what you're proving is an absence. You're proving that in this single glass, there is no water in it. Okay, you're proving the absence of water in this glass. Okay, you're not proving a negative. So don't try to swing that, as proof of proving a negative. Okay, you can't prove a negative. So now let's talk about infinity. Infinity and beyond. So, and I think at this point I've gone through everything on my list. So now I'm just going to completely kind of, go off the rails. Okay, the infinite. Okay. They say that the universe is infinite. Okay? And that's a crazy concept. Okay, because think about it. If the universe goes forever, okay, and there's no end, like, how could there be no end? There has to be some sort of an end. Okay? And then if there's an end, what's beyond the end? Okay? So then it makes me kind of think of the people that think we're in like a simulation. Okay? If we're in a simulation, somebody outside of that simulation is running the simulation. Wouldn't that person be our concept of God? Okay? So, if we're in a simulation, then there's somebody that knows everything that's happening. If we're a computer simulation or something. Okay? So that's what it makes me think of. So infinite, the universe is infinite. Okay? Goes on forever. Never ever ends. When you've gone as far as you can go, it still continues to go. So we can't understand that. Our brains are incapable of understanding infinite. Okay? We can't comprehend infinity. Okay? So if you agree with me on that, okay? Like we could say, oh, infinity means it goes on forever. Sure, that's our definition of infinity. But we can't really comprehend that something never ever ends. That it just continues on. If the universe continues on, then it's kind of like it's always been and it always will be, and like our brains can't handle that. Okay, so if you agree with me on that, okay, that our brains can't handle infinity, that we can't understand it, can't comprehend it, can't wrap our minds around it, okay, then right there, why is there the question of if God exists or not? Perhaps we can't even wrap our minds around it. Okay? I don't know. So, the universe is infinite. Let's go with that, okay? And if it's infinite, okay, then that means there's an infinite number of things in it. Okay? So if there's an infinite number of things in it, we come up to the multiverse or parallel universe or whatever theories. Okay? Perhaps there are an infinite number of universes. And in each universe, everything's different. It's an infinite, number of differences. Okay? So one of the things that people kind of talk about with an infinite universe theory is there's a universe where Elvis is still alive. There's a universe where dogs can talk. There's a universe where I am President of the United States. There's a universe where there is no United States and I am Supreme Leader of the world. There's a universe where people are knowledgeable enough to understand the giganticness of, I think I made that word up, the giganticness of the universe, and I am, or not me, my sort of counterpart in this other universe, I should say, is leader of the entire universe. Okay, so, there's another parallel universe that is exactly like ours, except when I put this envelope down with the stuff that I wrote on it, I didn't put it down this way, I put it down that way. And that's the one single difference in those two universes. Okay, so if you think about that, that's pretty mind-blowing. Okay, there's a universe where I put it down the same way, but a molecule to the right, or a molecule to the left, or a molecule further away from me, or closer to me, or so it's just like, again, brains can't understand that. Okay, now we get to sort of the pivotal point of what I'm trying to say. Okay, we can't understand infinity. We can't understand an infinite number of universes. We can't, we think to ourselves, well, it has to be finite. Okay? Something can't be infinite. It can't go on forever. That's impossible, is what we think. It has to be somehow finite. And then if it is, what's beyond that? We don't know. So, okay, let's go with, okay, so it's infinity, it's infinite, everything goes to infinity, blah, blah, blah. Now, we get to the point where there's so many universes with so many different things, okay? What happens if there's a universe that God exists? That people have proof God exists, okay? If we go with infinity and we go with an infinite number of universes in that infinite, I guess just in that vast infinity, there's an infinite number of universes in that infinity. There has to be a universe where a zebra is the Scrabble champion of the universe, right? Okay, anything. As crazy as you want to make it, is there a universe where there's proof God exists? Okay, if you're going to go with infinity and an infinite number of universes, you have to acknowledge that there is a universe where there's proof God exists. So, does God exist? That's the question. You can't prove us right now, right here, me, today, when I'm, filming this. I can't prove he exists. Okay, hard and fast, so that everyone will look at it and go, yes. Okay, a glass, there's no water in it. I can show it to anybody, okay, and say there's no water in this glass. Right. Or you could say, well, there could be a molecule of water at the bottom. Okay, let's say I could show somebody a glass and say there is not a half a cup, a half U.S. measuring cup of water in this glass. Okay? Everyone could look at it and go, you're correct. There is not a half cup measurement of water in that glass. Everybody. So that's proof without a doubt. Okay? I can't prove that there is a God to the same certainty to everybody about the glass with a half cup of water not in it. Okay? Or in it. Whatever. Doesn't matter. I can't prove that there is a God to that certainty to everybody. Likewise, I can't prove there isn't a God with the same certainty to everybody. But if we go with an infinite universe, don't we have to go with the idea that a God must exist? Somewhere, somehow, there must be proof, maybe God hangs out and walks around in this universe, and people can talk to him and sit down and have a cup of coffee with them and chat. Don't know. But it's a very interesting thing to think about, okay? And I would love to hear your thoughts on it, okay? I would love to hear your possibility of disproving my idea that if the universe is truly infinite, then anything and everything is possible, because that's the definition of infinity as we can understand it. Okay? And if we can't understand it, if your argument is, well, we can't understand infinity, Joe, you said that, then, there's no God. Like, well, if we can't understand infinity, then we can't understand that there is or isn't a God either. So we're arguing about something that we really can't even argue about. So I'd love to hear what you have to say. Do the comments below. Definitely feel free to share. It helps me out on YouTube and everything, and subscribe and all of that. But whether you agree or disagree, I definitely want to hear from you. So I guess let it go underneath, and we'll chat.